let's just get into the Season 8 patch notes, which was released by the devs a couple of days ago. So we have a bunch of LMG hit flinch reductions. This is just, minor buffs. I don't think it matters much, except it might, like, allow LMG spammers to hard scope more, camp more. Next to the Bruin, along with the hit flinch reduction, we do have a head multiplier increase from 1.2 to 1.35. This is pretty good because the Bruin is an unused LMG, an LMG which people forgot about. So this might make it slightly better. It's still not great, but slightly better. Next, we have a BSA improvement to the Groza. This is crucial because the Groza is literally the worst gun in the game, except maybe the NA45, but I'm not counting that. The Groza literally horrible BSA, horrible range, horrible recoil. So at least now its BSA is better. So you can have a slightly less terrible time to kill at range and make it a bit more of an AR, even though it's still not an AR or any gun really. Next, we have an ADS time reduction from 220 to 200 milliseconds for the codite. The codite was pretty slow when I tried to build it out for range, so I guess it's good now. It's gonna be pretty good now. When you add on max range, and we also have a ADS time penalty reduction from 14% to 10% for the OWC 4 grip. So this is like the OWC 4 grip. Basically, it reduces horizontal and vertical recoil with extreme ADS and movement downsides. So now the ADS downside is slightly less, but the movement downsides are still pretty ridiculous if you ask me. Next, we have a horizontal recoil penalty reduction from 30% to 15% for the EM2. It's task force barrel specifically. So the task force barrel, basically it increases its head multiplier, allows it to 2-tap to the head in the first damage phase. So see, the EM2 had very less recoil in the first place, so I don't really get why you would want to buff its attachment even more. I mean, the task force barrel had like insane horizontal and vertical recoil downsides, but the EM2 was never really a gun with any recoil, so it made sense for it to have that downside. Next, we have an Odin buff, which was definitely necessary. Definitely, the Odin's not broken at all. Its Colossus suppressor's ADS time was penalty was reduced from 16% to 12%. Colossus suppressor is like the most used attachment, like the most common attachment for the Odin, given its like extreme range upside, and it's the downside is that's not much because you can put like ADS time reducing attachments. And then they reduced the BSA penalty for the monolithic suppressor, because that was definitely necessary. Buff both the Colossus suppressor and the monolithic. Why not? So now, like, you can have monolithic and max range if you want to. I think this is like for BR maybe. I'm not sure, but this is still like an unnecessary buff. Because like they didn't introduce any nerfs at all this season. Like the title of this video is probably gonna be Season 8 2024 buffs, because there's no nerfs at all, except to our mental health, as you'll see. Next, we have the fast reload mag on the Switchblade X9 got a movement speed buff. I haven't really seen anyone using the fast reload mag, because I think it only gives you the 26 bullets, the base 26 bullets, so it's no use. But it got a nice 4% ADS movement speed buff in general, so that's good. Most strafe speed for SMGs make them better to use in close range and long range. You can take long range fights because you can strafe, if you know how to, which I don't. Next, we have a hip fire spread buff to the Lapa. The Lapa is useless. Like, the Lapa can 3-tap in the first damage phase, but outside of that, it's like pretty inconsistent and pretty bad. So I don't see why you would be hip firing with it. Much like I don't see you would be using it. Why you would be using it? Much less hip firing with it. Next, we have a HS0405 buff, where its leg multiplier is increased. The Thunder Rounds leg multiplier is increased. So I think the Thunder Rounds is like, it increases its range if I'm not wrong. So I guess this is good. Increases its like one tap consistency, because shotguns are quite inconsistent anyway. Like sometimes they one tap at like 15-20 meters, sometimes they don't at like 1. So it's good. Now we move on to a thermite buff. Like, welcome to another episode of codm buffs where they nerf our mental health. I think the previous episode was 2 seasons ago when they buffed the concussion grenade. Now it's the thermite. So previously, before this update, if you run the dauntless perk, the red dauntless perk, if you get stuck with the thermite directly, you still won't die. Like, it'll just burn itself out on you and you'll be left with like 10 to 20 HP or something. But because of this buff, you'll die even if you get stuck with it. Even with dauntless, if you get stuck with the thermite, because that's really fun. It also had its vehicle damage increased. Um, Again, fun. Like, you can. I guess that's good because you can take out campers who are head glitching behind like, the cars and firing range and stuff. But thermite buff was not needed. It definitely was not needed. Next, we have a flash drone buff. Its radius was increased. This I haven't seen people use this tactical at all, so I don't know what change this is gonna do. Like, I've had it once used against me, and even then I like moved back like 2 steps and its effect disappeared. And it's increased flight speed. I don't I Okay, so maybe like it goes to the designated spot faster, but once again, like, nobody uses it. Same thing with the shadow blade. Its recharge speed was increased, but outside of like pro rank, no one really uses it. There are much better operator skills where you don't have to go up close and risk dying instantly. So now, like, the death machine got its second buff. Like, it got buffed again. Last season, I think it got a body part damage multiplier increase, and then now this season it has a 10% damage resistance. It's becoming the new equalizers, the new meta operator skill. I think soon we'll see a lot of people running this in like respawns, sitting behind like a head glitch and then just spamming, because this thing like has an insane time to kill at any range. So lastly, we have BR class buffs. The pump got an increased fuel capacity. They nerfed pumped into the ground. I think at the start of this year because of Broken's air strafing. But I feel like they should make it at least a decent class. If not as broken as it was, pun intended. They should at least like make it slightly better. The other two, airborne and revived drone, I really don't know. I haven't really used these a lot, so I can't tell you what change this is gonna do. But yeah, that's about it. The BP50 didn't receive a nerf. We thought it would. It didn't. It's gonna be annoying for one more season. Neither did the DRH or the HVK. Why? Because codm. But yeah, that's about it. We'll see you guys in the next one.